This is the Mickey Miles and More podcast, your one-stop for information on Disney races, Disney vacations, Disney theme parks, and more. Now, here are your hosts for the Mickey Miles and More podcast, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Chris Eliopoulos, and Mike Scopa.
Welcome home, Milers, and welcome back to another episode of Mickey Miles and More, a podcast where three friends talk about their passion for the Disney parks. I'm Chris Eliopoulos. With me, as always, is Dr. Michelle Scribner-McLean. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Christopher. Three friends. I'm not sure. Maybe I have one friend on this podcast.
Oh, dear. Already.
That might change from day to day. Who knows who that is? We'll
It
see
starts.
who's nicest to me. Well, it's good to be here, and I am wondering how things are with you. I met a little boy named Xavier the other day, and I
You were
told his
saying.
family, that he's got to watch your.
Did you ask him a riddle?
I did not. I didn't ask him if he had a secret museum, but I thought, well, that's cool.
Well, it would be a
Xavier.
secret. He couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
how are things going in the world of Eliopolis?
It's going. I'm working like a fool. We're looks like we're solid now. We are definitely going down to the parks in August. So, I have to this weekend make my dining reservations, which is a little difficult because some of them are still not open or available. So, and Mike, did Teppanito open up yet? I don't think it did. Yet.
I don't think it. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it hasn't, but if you go on the My Disney Experience, you might be able to make
Yeah.
I wonder if there's
reservations.
some
for
sort of
August.
device we could use to figure this out. I bet we'll know before the end of the podcast.
As of this podcast, you can make dining reservations up to August 9th.
So,
All right, before we say hi to Mike, I have a shout out, and
Yeah.
it is to a really good friend of ours, a Disney buddy, a Disney running buddy, a very scary health situation, and that is our friend Phil Taylor from Claremont, Florida, who is just one of the nicest, kindest people we know. So, Phil, if you're listening, we hope that you recover quickly.
yes, sir. And of course, you heard the voice and the answers from our good friend Mike Scopa. Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks, Chris. Talked about three friends, and so I thought I'd start off the podcast asking you guys maybe a question about the three caballeros. How's that?
Oh, See,
Caballeros,
With everything opening up and attractions opening up, it's like,
who's
well, let's see if you know this trivia question. On the Grand Fiesta Tour, starring the three caballeros, excuse me, you'll join in a fiesta filled with children. So how is Donald Duck represented in this scene? The scene with with children, as a painting, as a baby duck, as a piñata, or as himself? Anybody want to take a shot?
Michelle already knows the answer, so I'll give it up to her. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let her take it.
I would say piñata.
You're right.
That was my
Was
my
that?
guess.
Oh, of course it was.
Well,
Tough one next time.
beating things to death. Let's
Segue, if you're listening. So,
Let's-
so professional. Only professional podcasters know how to do that.
let's get back into some of the updates as the three of us are now basically locked into going back down to the parks. Mike, have we seen any? It doesn't seem like that we've seen much in terms of changes in policy. We thought after Universal went mask free that Disney would soon follow. I don't think they've done that so far, have they?
No, and I want to give them a lot of credit because they didn't do a monkey see, monkey do thing, which, I think if it was the other way around, Universal would probably change their policy to mirror Walt Disney World's policy within hours of hearing.
Yeah, you were actually saying today that, sometimes we critique. We definitely give our honest opinions, but you really felt that
Yeah,
Walt Disney World really came through for this one.
I really think they're doing a good job. I think they're doing a very good job of slowly peeling back the onion skin of COVID and slowly releasing things, and we're seeing little flags, little indicators every day of getting back to normalcy. But you're right, Chris. The masks are still required indoors. I don't know if they're. I would assume they're required at the resorts as well as indoors in the parks.
Hmm.
So but having said that, in about a month, I may be whistling a different tune.
Knowing the way things go with us, tomorrow morning when this show posts, it'll happen. But speaking of other things,
12 minutes after we're done, right?
Yeah, probably. Speaking of other things we got wrong, Mike, you were not Nostradamus when it came to the Jungle Cruise. I see.
No, I was Nostradamus. I was. I thought the Jungle Cruise would be closed while they were putting up the 2 or 3. I think it's 3 new scenes. But I believe that the attraction is running, and they have already completed one scene with the rhinoceros chasing the adventurers up the pole, and I believe there's some audio animatronics that have been added to that scene. And there are
additional ones, additional
I
maybe
think one
taken
of the,
away.
I think one of the guys moves his head and talks, but I'm not sure. And there are 2 other scenes that are close to being finalized. So, by the end of this month, it may be open, not open it. We may be able to see the brand new Trader Sam's, hut that he sells everything, and a few other things. So
All right.
I was wrong. Good to be
Probably trying
wrong
to
in that regard.
Okay,
That's
it's okay to be wrong.
Hey,
Good.
well, this is the fun part of it all, is trying to figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
one of the other things we got wrong is the 3 of us were like thinking this Boo Bash Halloween thing was just not cutting the mustard. And boy, did they use a lot of mustard. I think in the first day, it's in the first couple hours.
But did we really think it wasn't going to sell out?
I
don't think we commented on that.
I don't know if
We're like, wow, this is a lot of money for a short period of time.
But yeah, I didn't think it was like something that a lot of people would be crazy about doing or going to, spending that kind of money. But it sounds like even like Halloween itself, which was a $200 per person ticket, sold out. So everybody's planning their Halloween already. But Mike,
Mike, didn't you have somebody who had made 80 phone calls or something?
Yes, I'm looking. Tony, I know you're listening out there, and I'm looking for your text. My friend Tony.
I think there was issues with the online ticket ordering, right?
But I don't understand why they did not put into place some online purchasing.
So, like when you buy a ticket to a special event, you are kind of funneled in with everybody else who's buying any sort of other ticket, right? Or is it a separate? I can't remember now. It's been so long.
I don't think they put a special phone line in there. So my friend Tony, he called on day 1. He said, I called 87 times before giving up.
This wasn't even like to get a specific day. This was just to talk to a person, right?
Right, but he wanted to get, when he got there, he wanted to book Halloween. And then the morning after, which I think was yesterday morning, I'm not sure, he called 36 times, and I think he got on hold for 2 hours, and then he was finally able to do it. So, no, he said after 2 hours on hold last night, I was able to buy 2 tickets for the Boo Bash for Halloween night. It was not cheap, but this is a special time.
No judgment.
No judgment. This is a special time for him and his wife. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he got it.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, there's absolutely a part of me that says, no way, I'm an annual pass holder. I'm not going to spend that much money. But there's always a part of me that's like, I'm just a little curious. What is this going to be like? And how's it going to be different from Mickey's Not So Scary? So I respect that decision.
well, if Chris wants to go in August, he could probably buy tickets for $119.
Maybe.
Oh, wait a minute. Now you're going to add.
I thought that was for children. Was
No,
it
$129, and I think you get $10 off if it's an annual pass.
Oh, okay. Right.
And then I think you want to add 6% or 7%.
Yeah.
So it's going to be $125. So 3 hours, no parade, no fireworks.
Yeah, like I said, it was not my alley, and we had a discussion offline about people's choices and vacations and what they do, and hey, if they're like I said, if they're willing to pay for it, and if it's something they really want, I don't begrudge anybody the choices they make. I think what we try to say is that for us, it's not worth it, but for some people it is, so it's great. I mean, I'm all good for it, but there was a whole problem with online. People couldn't get the online tickets. Was that right?
They could not order them
Yeah.
online. Everything had to be on
the
via the phone, and didn't we used to register for races online? I mean, why did they
Always.
take the Run Disney servers and just switch them over to
Well,
the
that was
Brewback servers?
active.com though, remember? It was
Oh,
kind of like funneled out to active.com.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
folded
Disney.
in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably, what it probably says too is the fact that they're taking so long to get through might have been that there are so many people calling in for other things, dining, calling in for,
That's the whole bucket.
passes. And so,
But,
yes, the whole thing.
but like people are trying to give them lots and lots of money. I know that when we renewed our annual passes, it was hours of just trying to get to the right person, get online. We're trying to give you a pile of money, like hire some more people. Hire some more people.
If I have a company and people are being turned away, I'm hiring more people to handle the phone.
You don't want
It's
to
not
lose
like
that
they're
money.
paying them an arm and a leg to do the work.
I mean, I did my annual pass renewal online. It went pretty quick. So,
Wow.
I just
I think
basically
when we did it, it was sort of the sticky area of, it was DVC, it was something we canceled, then we were, when did we cancel?
wow. But so speaking of having an explosion of calls and stuff like that, it sounds like I gather that in the next month or so we're going to start seeing a ton of new announcements for the 50th, but also just what they're doing in terms of policy and even like the restaurants. Like even now, right, Mike? We're starting to see some new restaurants open up.
Yeah, Chris. I can't say offhand what's been closed and what's opening, but I'm hearing bits and pieces all over the place. I mean, just before we logged on, I heard that some of the fountains that have been closed since last March are now being turned on in the parks, some of the water fountains. But, getting back to what you originally asked, there are there are lots of little restaurant openings and resort openings and all kinds of things that are happening. I mean, I'm hearing Tusker House, Tangerine Cafe, Ohana's, I think July 9th. I'm not sure if that's July 9th or June 9th. It must be July 9th. Sebastian's Bistro at the Caribbean. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. There are two indoor playgrounds. One is at the Magic Kingdom. It's called the Dumbo Q Area Playground. That's going to open this week, or reopen, and the Space-Based Playground in Mission Space at Epcot. That's going to reopen this week. There's a whole bunch of, things that are just flags or indicators saying that things are returning back to normal. See, here's a few other things. The Skyliner, which had another accident this week, is now loading multiple parties. Now, I'm not sure how that runs with everybody. I'm not sure if I like that, but they're doing that. They're putting like little circles or standing spots in the monorail cars, so people can stand up next to their party. The famous rope drop that we have seen in the past in the Magic Kingdom, where they would have the rope drop right at the partner statue, and they used to have rope drop just before you would go to the right to go towards the land pavilion, and to the left if you were going to Mission Space. They've returned the rope drop stuff protocol, and that to me means, well, you've got now crowds inching up more so than before. So those are the indicators. Another big thing.
Can I stop you before you go on? I'm just thinking like logistics. Like, how does the monorail work? So, like, you have dots. Who says that they're going to stand on a dot with their family? Are they reducing? Do you think they're reducing the number of? Because they would jam people in, or people would jam themselves in. So,
okay.
How do you think that works?
So
strollers.
Take a look at a monorail
yeah,
car.
strollers, and
you sat in a monorail car.
Okay.
let's say, Michelle, you're sitting next to a window.
Okay.
Okay. Just about a foot in front of your feet, there's a circle.
Yep.
It says stand here. So if I was with you, I would stand there. As far as the, strollers and things, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting. So,
and the final
Sorry,
thing,
sorry.
no, it's fine. I know I go crazy. Um, I didn't realize this, and maybe I did, and I just forgot about it. But it's been a year since the trams that take guests from their cars in the parking lots and bring them to the front. It's been a year since those trams have been working.
Hmm.
There's indication that in about a week or two, those parking lot trams are going to be back in business.
But why couldn't they just do what they do in other places, like do every other row, and have a
Maybe
cast
some-
member clean them when they're turning around? That doesn't seem like a big.
because if they were trying to clean them in between, it'd be like really difficult to. It's like 800 seats in that thing, right? I mean, there's just chaos.
Just have several people just wipe.
They might have laid off the cast members who operate them too. So
because it's a hike for some of those places that you're going to be. Some of those parking lots, you're going to be walking a long time.
Yeah, now, I mean, maybe earlier on, maybe it was just the amount of people getting into the parks, they didn't have to park too far back, and so they didn't feel like they needed the trams. But what about the park calendar availability, Mike?
I was talking to Michelle about this yesterday, the day before. We talked about the colors, Chris, and the calendar. If it's green, if a certain date is green, all parks are available. If it's yellow or orange, I think that means some of the parks are available that day. And if it's gray, you're out of luck. However, what I noticed is that October 1st used to be yellow, and now it's green. So those people who wanted to get into the Magic Kingdom a week or two ago to make a park reservation for October 1st in Magic Kingdom, and they were shut out, you can make it now. However, there's a caveat. You have to be an annual pass holder. There's an annual pass holder. If you're an annual pass holder, you can, as far as I know, you can get into the Magic Kingdom as long as that date is green on the park availability calendar. So, all this stuff, to me, when I think of all this stuff that we've been talking about, I keep going back to park capacity, park capacity, park capacity. As things change, park capacity has to change. I don't know if the tail's wagging the dog, or if the dog's wagging the tail. I don't know. But I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they're starting to ramp up and not really announcing it, but it's definitely moving in that direction. I think, there's no other reason for any of this stuff. They know this stuff is happening. They're gonna accept more people, and they're, like you said, they're gonna start opening up more hotels, so they're gonna get that, and the capacity is gonna go up. So we're gonna see a real shift probably by October 1st to normalcy in the parks in terms of capacity and getting around, and probably the masks will be on. But one of the
fireworks to come back.
Yeah, the fireworks, the parades. But one of the issues that we're still having problems with, so in your 3-year tour in Florida this summer, you had part of that plan was to take a cruise. And unfortunately, it sounds like the cruise is a no-go. Is that right, Michelle?
Yeah, we found out this week the cruise was canceled. More cancellations through at least the end of August. Yeah, November. Yeah. So
how did you find out? How did they tell you?
2 ways. So one, another shout out to MEI Mouse Fan Travel. We have a great travel agent, Amanda Gonzalez, emailed us early in the morning. Just woke up, just found out your cruise was canceled. 2 hours later, we got the message from Disney. So what they offered people is full refund. That was one option, or 125% of your cruise value to a next cruise. Or if you already got that last year, then that same amount for an upcoming cruise. So we just rolled it over to the next year. So we have a cruise plan for next year. But tell you, it was a gut punch. It was
Yeah.
really, I don't know why I dared to hope, but definitely dared to hope. Made all the reservations, Apollo and all the excursions and things like that. Had plans on St. John, and even our travel agent said, I'm really surprised. I really thought that it was going to happen, but I know there are restrictions and
Was this anything to do?
protocols.
I'm sorry. Was this anything to do with that whole vaccine card requirement that the governor was not happy with? Is that why they're not doing it? Or was it just that they're not feeling they're ready to do this yet? I mean, I'm sure they didn't tell
I
you.
really don't know. I was reading an article today about him saying that, and the governor of Texas saying that, if it were up to them, everybody would be able to go. But I'm sure there's just as there's Walt Disney World is making their own decisions and not basing it on Orange County, I'm sure the Disney Cruise Line are looking at what is safest for their crew and for the people who travel, and they're just not able to put on the protocols that they need to do. I know they were doing test cruises, or they were going to be doing test cruises, but those weren't happening until the end of June.
So that's the interesting thing, Michelle. So the test cruise wasn't going to happen until in 2 weeks, maybe the 29th. So it makes you wonder what prompted them to make this decision. If I had to place a bet on what the cause was, and I think it's the makeup of the passengers. I think that the Disney Cruise Line is different from Royal Caribbean and the rest of them in that there is a very large percentage of children on the boat. And as we know, how many children aged 12 to 17 are getting vaccinated? I don't know if Disney had some really intense discussions with the CDC and they said, we're going to do some test sailing, so maybe we can get by with 50%. And the CDC said, no. Why 50%? Well, we have 40% of our passenger list is children under 16 or 15. And the CDC said, no, we're going to got to keep it at least 90 or whatever. I'm just making that up. But I really think it's the makeup of the crew, of the guests that really kind of handcuffed Disney into making this decision. My only question is, why wasn't it made earlier?
Yeah.
But happy that it wasn't made later, because I think there's some people who would have,
I'd have packed a suit.
Yep, booked their
ties, shirts.
Book their flights and things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think that Chris, I know you're not really interested in that. But I mean, I know you're sad that the cruise isn't going, but if you saw how cruise lines, the Disney cruise lines, and I've seen other cruise lines at ports handle hand washing because of the norovirus, I think that they're really, really careful, because they know that if somebody is infected and spreads it throughout the ship, whether it's a kid or an adult or something, the whole thing goes down, and then it requires, I can't imagine the levels of notification for the ports and for, around Florida. So I think that it would be a complete nightmare if just one person out of the 5,000 who on a cruise came down with it. They're really, really strict about just even every interaction, every meal that you have, you're always washing your hands on a cruise. So now we're amping it up to like the coronavirus. Yeah. It really ups the game.
Yeah. But the thing is, Chris, like before you go into any dining room, there is a crew member handing you a disinfectant wipe, asking you to, please wipe your hands and everything. And then when you walk into a dining room, like the cabanas, there's 2 cast members there, so please wash your hands.
Getting on the ship.
That's before COVID. So you can imagine, what they have to do now. I mean, it was almost like it was not the Disney Cruise Line, but the Heliopolis Cruise Line.
The germphobic cruise line. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems I've had is, why would you go somewhere where there's like so much, double care to go make sure that you're not going to get sick. But it actually dovetails into another thought I was having too, in terms of things getting canceled and announcements and whether they're coming in. And we're still not hearing anything about the Run Disney stuff. I had
Yeah.
tweeted out sort of just a general question, but also directed at Run Disney, saying, "Hey, it'd be really nice to know what's going on here in terms of what your plans are."
Did
I
you
did,
tag Run Disney?
I did. I did.
Oh.
I did not get a response. Not that I expected to. I just wanted to see if there were other people that were as confused.
Wow. And you're a verified Twitter user, so if you can't get a response.
I never get a response from. And I was trying to be nice. I was just like, "Hey, I'd just like to know." I even said thank you at the end of the tweet. Nobody ever says thank
I
you on the tweet.
know.
But it was funny because another runner who follows me basically said, I'm trying to let me find his tweet. He responded to me and said, "No way they're doing wine and dine less than 5 months out. And I would give the marathon weekend a 5% chance just to be generous. Just guessing that the next actual chance for a race would be Star Wars." So I guess there's other people who are more negative than us. I felt like they might do a limited capacity marathon weekend, but it doesn't, I'm wondering if all around everybody's kind of going, not going to happen.
I don't think we're negative. We're just realistic.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I think like the Disney Cruise Line, I think Run Disney and the Disney Cruise Line are very much in the same kind of basket. I think that in both cases, the feeling is if we can't flip that switch and go back to 100% normalcy, then we're going to wait. And I don't think they can say right now, well, I'm pretty sure November is pretty much out the window. As far as January, if they don't mention something by August as to whether or not it's on.
That's when marathon training would start.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to give people 6 months to train at least.
And to make plans for the parks and to make sure that everybody is, set to go. So
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, at the top of the show, we listed all of the things we got wrong, Mike, and so I'm going to ask you to give the wrong answer of when do you think we're going to expect to see like the fireworks and the parades to start up again? How wrong can you be about this?
So I do know, and I do know that there are harmonious rehearsals going on from time to time in the middle of the night in Epcot. So that to me says that they're planning on starting that nighttime spectacular at least by October 1st. So I'll go out on a limb and say by October 1st we'll have fireworks, but I really think that July 1 is just, it has to be a key date. It just has to be one of those times of the year where, you 4th of July, fireworks and parades. I really think that sometime in July, we'll see the return of what they call the nighttime spectaculars. So we'll see. That's my prediction.
What do you think, Michelle? What's your call?
Gosh, I like the way you say spectaculars. My hope is that July 4th, because July 4th is my favorite holiday. I'd love to see something in the Magic Kingdom. That's my hope. I'm optimistic. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, it is. I think at this point, the fact that they haven't made many announcements, I think they're sort of hedging their bets on everything, and maybe it's like we're going to just come back to full capacity on October 1st, and everything else will be ready to go, and then it'll just like we were talking about, like it seems like they're going to just do a bunch of announcements all at once when it comes to things in the near future, like the mask mandates and all that stuff. They're just going to, all the dominoes are going to go down at once, and I'm wondering if they're going to sort of have the same feeling about October 1st. Like, okay, it's the 50th. We're going to have, the fireworks in Epcot renewed. We're going to go back to the parades and the fireworks in Magic Kingdom.
It does seem like with the rest of the world, things change really fast in terms of this stuff. But with Disney, they're really taking their time. And I have to respect that.
So the thing to watch is probably Universal too, because I don't believe that their fireworks is back. Right? So
I have no idea.
This could be yeah, this could be one of those monkey see, monkey do things, because fireworks may be a big deal. And if one theme park is, if they're showing nighttime fireworks, nighttime spectaculars,
Spectacular.
Spectacular.
the other one's going to say, "Oh my God, now they've got a marketing leg up on us," So I think July, like Michelle said, July 4th is a big holiday for a lot of people. So we'll see.
One other thing is, I guess Canada's Far and Wide is closing on June 27th for Food and Wine, Mike.
Yeah. So the thing, Chris, is that with Food and Wine beginning in July, it's going to impact some things. And one of the things they had 2 years ago, I think it was during Food and Wine, they had closed the Canadian Pavilion, or where you would see and listen to Old Canada, and it's called Canada Far and Wide, and they turned that into a cider mill, I believe it was. And you could go in there and you could test all kinds of ciders. And I believe they were so successful that they're doing it again. And it's a shame because I really like, that pavilion. It's really one of my favorite pavilions. But on the 27th, it's going to close, and they're going to start transforming that into the cider mill again. Again, it's Food and Wine begins in July. I think it's the 15th, and that's going to bring in crowds. So that could be another date to remember, to think about when capacities go up. I don't know what capacities are now.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say 50%, maybe 60.
Yeah. I will say though, I am looking forward to the food. It usually starts much later in the season, and having the ability to do Food and Wine during our trip is going to be a lot of fun, because I love sampling the different foods and wines, hence the name.
So, Chris, would that change your travel plans? Because I know you and Audra have talked about making another trip in October for Food and Wine. Does that sort of negate those plans?
Well, we've talked about going down on short trips, because the kids are going off to college, and we'll sort of have that more freedom of travel, where we can the two of us can go for a long weekend or something like that. So it's not necessarily for Food and Wine. It's more of like, oh, well, they'll have Food and Wine, so while we're down there, we can. Because I said one of my favorite trips we did was that wine and cheese board vacation we did.
Yes.
Where we just sort of didn't make any dining reservations and just went around doing wine and cheeses and maybe little snacks and what have you. And it was a blast, and it was something new and different. So maybe we'll do that. But, I'm hoping everything will be wide open and raring to go. And by our August visit, like I said, it's going to be sad not to have the fireworks going at Epcot late at night when we want to go. But if they're going to be open so that we can walk around and sample a beverage or two and grab a snack, I'm okay with that. But so are you guys? So I guess now that you canceled or they canceled your cruise, what's the plan? What are you going to do for those missing days, Michael?
Well, we're planning on being somewhere. We have a lot of options.
I don't want specific. I mean, like, are you going to try something new? Are you going to go to Kennedy Space Center, or are you going to try to do something different to
That's
get?
at the beginning.
Oh, you're going to
already
do that?
Space Center at the beginning, but we've thought about, there are so many non-Disney things you can do down there. One year we went and we walked around the Bach Powers Garden area. That's really fun and enjoyable. It's out there in nature and it's quiet. I've always wanted to visit Legoland, so we're gonna try to visit Legoland.
I don't really like Legos.
Yeah, but I'd like to see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of Central Florida Winter Garden. It has what's it called? The Orange Trail, Michelle?
The West Orange Trail.
Orange Trail. It's a great trail to run or to ride bikes, so we might check that out. And a few other things, but
Any Universal trips? You're going to go over there?
not,
I'd like to.
we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Well,
I will.
it's disappointing, but look, there's no.
Oh, too bad. I have to spend more days in Orlando.
I was literally going to say, like, what do they say? It's like a day playing golf in the rain is still better than a day at work. It's sort of a day at the Disney
Please don't
parks
say that.
is better than a day at work. But
Living in a golf course, you get to see all the.
I know. I'm just doing the quote. I'm not necessarily saying you need to do with it, but it's hey, look, it's a good thing, and then it just gives us a chance to see each other more while we're down there. So
True. Yes.
hopefully,
Cruise Cup. Cruise Cup
if
vacation.
they open it back up, I guys
Yeah.
got to open up my cruise cup. That's I know it'll probably be open by then.
That's a
But,
little nook.
all right, if we have nothing else, then that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Mickey Miles and More. If you want to continue this conversation, please join us on our Facebook page at Mickey Miles Podcast or on Twitter at Mickey Miles Pod. So for Dr. Michelle Scribner-McLean, Mike Scopa, I'm Chris Eliopoulos. We'll see you on the road, in the parks, and welcome home, Spectaculah.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Mickey Miles and More podcast. For all of us here at the Mickey Miles and More podcast, this is Rick Gregg saying thanks for listening and all your support. And until next time, we'll see you on the road.
Spectaculah.